Just talk about him showing up and what that means.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, really, Dalton's been here pretty much the whole off season, really going all the way back to February. So it's great to have him back, and he'll get some work today.
Obviously, other than the fact that this is mandatory, but how will the minicamp practices differ from the OTAs?
There'll be no difference. The only difference is we can go on the field before 11:30 without being penalized. So we have more time on the field.
More time after?
Yeah, we can stay on afterwards too. Yeah, we'll have the afternoon meetings. So more time.
Mike, you told us back in March that this part of the year is big for Dak and the perimeter players, given the nature of the roles. What do you want to see from this week, or what progress have you seen from the passing game in the last couple?
Well, I think primarily, the phase we're in, this is our last install today. So, today is just as far as exercising to get through the new concepts and get, just be situation specific. But, they've been doing a lot of work, on their own, away from here. So, and that will continue over the 5-week break, and just to continue to have the continuity to get through the route trees and those types of things. So, really today, what I'm looking for is to really finish the install phase will be the goal.
Will you take advantage of all 3 days, or will you shorten one of the days this week?
Well, I'll be honest, when we walk off here today, I'll have a little better idea on what we're going to do, particularly Thursday. So I want to get through this install phase. We didn't have the best of weeks last week, which is normal. It's not a negative. I just think, young players, veteran guys that were resting, the different combinations. I mean, this is 6, 7, and 8 installs is always a tough stretch for your rookies.
Are any veterans or injured guys who won't participate?
Yeah, I don't have a list. Yeah, I mean, just the obvious. Yeah, nothing's changed. So
James Washington's still out.
no, he's back, but he's he's here, but he won't do much. Yeah, so.
Mike, in what ways has it been most beneficial to have a healthy starting quarterback throughout this offseason?
It's been huge. I mean, it's been huge for him. It's been huge for everybody. So I think all the little things that we do, particularly the meetings, the walkthroughs, and all that they're important, obviously, but. Just for him to have no limits has been outstanding, and I think you clearly see it in the way he's moving this year. I mean, you look at his body; he's clearly different than he was last year. So he's had a heck of an off season.
What's different about his body? How has he changed that?
He's leaner, more flexible. So, and I think just the mechanics, just be able to really get after the mechanics. There's no limits on the movement drills. Quarterback drills last year there was a gradual phase of the different type of drills, how we did them, so there was no progression to that this year. So he's been full go since day one.
Is he also running better? I mean, quicker? Do you see any of that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think he's moving. I think like anything, it's just this is year 3 in the offense. The opportunity to move more, potentially than he did in the past. As far as what he's being asked to do, I think he's clearly the thing that jumps out to me is his movement ability in the scramble drills and scramble situations. The way he activates the scramble drills. So he's got more reps at it. It's more natural to him. So it looks really good.
Mike, last year coming off the injury, did you, as coaches, limit him in terms of extending plays or using his running ability?
You talking about in season or this time last year? I think we tried to be smart. We didn't. I think it's obvious we didn't call as many quarterback runs than probably prior. So there wasn't as many in the game plan. So I think we tried to be smart when we used them. So I think that's only natural. And I think if you look at the history of this league. When a player has a major joint injury, it usually takes them a full year to where I think they get, there's a first for everything that the player has to go through. So, that was definitely part of our thinking.
Be fair to say that there'll be more movement type plays designed for him this season?
That's a schematic question, Michael. We don't answer those here. So, I hope so. Yeah, I hope so.
How quickly can you get a sense of rookies that can contribute?
I have a sense?
Yeah.
Well, I think clearly, as we illustrated last year, I mean, really the way we operate here, it's all about closing the gap between our rookie class and our veterans. So we're definitely going to count on them to contribute. I hope they don't have to contribute right away, but I don't think that's the reality of this league. I mean, this is a young man's league. So they'll definitely contribute, particularly on special teams. And you got some guys, that are fighting for, key roles, on the offense and defense. So I think that's only natural. But, you think of some of the players we lost, particularly on offense. I think we lost 5 primary role players. I think we've lost 5 many primary role players. So there will definitely be some opportunities there.
When you look at what Tyler Smith has done from rookie minicamp to OTA or minicamp, where has he grown?
I think the biggest thing, I think when you look at the off-season program training, the group that is handcuffed the most is the offensive line. That's been going on for a long time this time of year. So, I think his understanding, the footwork, the newness, all the particulars of the huddle command and all that. So that's been good for him. I mean, every young guy has to go through that. He's getting more and more comfortable. We've repped him both at the guard and tackle position. So, I think he's a little more comfortable at guard right now. So he's done a lot of good things. But as I said earlier, the install phase is a challenge for all the rooks.
How's McGovern responded to the challenge you had, Tyler?
Well, I think Connor's done an excellent job. I think, like anything, you control what you can control, and we have so many players, and he's one of them right there. That, we have the captains' workouts, the February. These guys have been here since February, and Connor's one of those guys. So this is clearly the best shape he's been in. It's the strongest he's been in. The numbers that he's pushed, his body index, all those components are really what you look for, and he's maxed out this time of year to get ready for the competition.
Mike, we talked to CD a couple weeks ago, and he said he's ready for this opportunity to be the featured receiver on the team. When you evaluated last season, did you feel like, even despite the personnel moves, that you guys needed to do something to get the ball in his hands more going forward, that he's ready for that opportunity?
Well, I think like anything in CDs, clearly at the top of the list, you got to get the ball to your playmakers. I mean, ball distribution is a constant, focal point for us when we talk offensive football. We talk about how many touches we want the perimeter players to have every game. I think there's defenses that you'll compete against, throughout the year that you're looking for the soft spots there. But yeah, the focus was. I think clearly when who plays the flanker position, the Z position, is obviously going to be in a primary situation where he can, he's going to be the number 1 read in a lot of progressions. So, and he's definitely ready for that opportunity.
What's your definition of a number 1 receiver?
I don't really have one because the reason I'm not saying that sarcastically, I think it's important for all your receivers. I like receivers that play multiple positions, because I'm always focused on beating a defense that's going to line up and double to your top guys. So the ability to play inside and outside, I think, is part of that description or characteristics of being a number 1 receiver. I think just like any premier player, whether they're talking about Micah Parsons or someone that, or Aaron Donald, if you line up in one position, I think the targeting for the offense is a little easier. So I think clearly the ability to play inside and outside, and with CD playing the slot last year and now taking the flanker position, he definitely has that flexibility to go along with a great skill set.
You had increased emphasis last offseason in practice on situational football. I was curious, how have you built off that? And are you guys doing more of that? About the same?
Yeah, I would say we're the numbers are similar. We'll crank it up, and last year in training camp, I don't know if we can do any more than we did last year. So, but as we work through the training camp process right now, it's a primary focus for us, and it always has. But it's just like anything, you only have so many reps, and where you're going to spend your time at, and that's definitely at the forefront. And we got penalties and things. Our exit interview process and the application of the things that we really want to work on. And I've held a lot of that for training camp, just because of this environment that we train in right now was really conceptually focused. Just to get these concepts taught, get them tight, be specific, and really cater to the young players.
We in the media haven't seen a ton from Jonathan Garibay since he got here. Just how much of a sense can you get for a kicker this time of year, or is that specifically for training camp?
No, operation's important. He's obviously working with 2 excellent vets, so I think his opportunity is very healthy. He's got 2 guys he can lean on. So, but it's the intricacies of playing a fine motor skill position. The punter, the kicker, and the quarterback. Those guys are they have specific training regimens that you got to adhere to, and so I mean, you can definitely get a feel for his ability, and I mean his statistics. So we had a long personnel meeting with the coaching staff yesterday and went through all that. So he's off to a good start. He's just young. I mean, he's just a really young guy.
You guys have an empty roster spot. Why is he still the only kicker in the building?
Well, I think like anything, I mean, that's player acquisition's not stop. I mean, it's not a process of not looking. I mean, you want competition in all these positions, and I think competition kicking position is something that you may see in the future.
Vasher was a guy that was around last year, but obviously didn't do much. How has he done with extra opportunities, considering you've
He's done some really good things. I think he's made some really big time flash plays, splash plays. I mean, he's had some, really, particularly in the red zone. He's which you could see his ability down there. Had some really good plays and scramble drills and things like that. And I just think like any young player, and particularly in his development, is just getting the details of the everyday situations. But he's done some really nice things.
Right, last year was obviously your first year with Dan Quinn as your DC, and I know you hired him for a reason. But how much more comfortable are you this year being able to say, okay, we're pretty good over there, he's got this handled?
Oh, definitely. Great confidence in Dan. I think really last year, and I think it's like any new staff that comes together, you have to, the head coach has a vision of how the football team wants to play, what they're supposed to look like. I think clearly from year one to year two, I thought we did an excellent job of changing the personnel, as far as profiles and getting the players that fit that. I think that's real clearly illustrated in our front and our safety play. So that's been excellent, and I think just like anything, the success particularly we had in the second half of the season, the ability to build off of that, and you could really feel that in Dan's environment with the defense and clearly with the veterans bringing the young guys in too. So we're clearly further ahead today than we were this time last year.
If pressure is privilege, like I know you guys believe, how do you get players to embrace that even in the off season, so that come season when the stakes get higher, they're mentally wired for that?
Well, I mean, the pressure that we're under is to practice the right way with the CBA rules. So I mean, that's and I'm kidding, but it's really kind of hard to apply pressure, those types of things. So I think the biggest thing is, and really the whole goal of the off-season program is to conceptually learn and teach and make sure that we can go in and have a very competitive, training camp in Oxnard, especially with the weather and the situation out there. So the one thing I enjoyed is we were really able to push the team. The workload capacity out there was excellent last year, so we're looking to build off of that and just try to create those pressure situations the best we can. And practicing against two teams is new, and I think that'll be a great environment to get that done.
You're outdoors again today?
No, we're inside, 20-mile-an-hour wind. You won't mess your hair up. So.
You had Montgomery and Green Bay, a receiver who played running back for you. Are there any, it's different, I know, going from running back to receiver for Pollard, but there are things that, while they're different players, there are things you can use from your past to maybe get Tony more incorporated?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that's an excellent comparable, as far as an experience that you go through. I think they're different players. But to me, it's really comes down to expansion of job responsibility. That's all it really is. And, where he plays and how he plays, that's all part of the game and, design of it and that. So, but it's just really expanding his opportunity to touch the football. And in doing that, we got to give him more job responsibility.
Mike, building off that, I mean, that was something that happened a lot last year with Deebo Samuel and Cordell Patterson too. In the offseason, how much are you guys looking for ideas everywhere else? How much of that is the plan, the copycat aspect of it?
Well, we do studies all over the league. I mean, it's amazing. Kudos to PFF. I just think the ability to grab a hold of those concepts, the instant availability is so much better than it was 10, 15 years ago. So, and that's all part of the way the staff is designed and laid out as far as, who's responsible for what. And, on offense, as far as the coaches that with Doug Nussmeier's in charge of red zone. So, his ability to go back and look through all the red zones and the top red zones. So you're always looking at concepts, and it's not as much about having new plays. It's really the variations of your concepts, because, this league is so much about trying to stay in front of the curve, and, because you can't just line up, do the same things over and over in our games. So, and the other part is you got to protect yourself for just the volume of that too. So, I mean, you can go nuts with it, because, too much information, too much can dilute the opportunity for the players to go play too. So, but yeah, I think those are things you're always looking at.
Thanks, Coach.
Good?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.